If you are somebody that have been struggling to get a flaky meat pie recipe or a flaky dough, don't worry. I was just like you a few years ago. I used to struggle. I said, how will I make my pie dough flaky? Until I found out the secret you'll be learning in this video. Number one is use the right kind of flour. Now, meat pie, you are not going for bread flour. You are specific. Go for all-purpose flour. Meat pie is not like any recipe that you use any kind of flour that you like. I will advise that all-purpose flour is perfect for your meat pie recipe. Please do not use bread flour. Now, use butter instead of margarine. Now, butter is best for your meat pie recipe. Some persons will say margarine is okay, but I'll tell you butter is the best. Though, butter is not as healthy as margarine, but for your meat pie recipe, you want to get that flaky dough, then go for your butter. Your meat pie recipe will come out being flaky. Butter is rich. It comes from churning of animal milk, so it comes from milk. It's really rich. It will give your meat pie dough that flaky nature and really makes it come out looking really rich at the end of the day. So go for butter. Now, another tip you must take note is minimize kneading of your dough. I see people kneading their meat pie dough, and even if the pie dough would have been flaky, it reduces the flakiness of your dough. Your meat pie is not like donuts or bread that you go on out to knead. No, you do not need to knead your dough. Do you know what kneading does to your dough? Kneading helps your dough to form a protein called gluten. Gluten is what gives this stretchy texture. If you are going for donut or bread, it is fine. But if you knead your meat pie dough, your dough will form gluten. And when it forms gluten and you go on now to mix your dough and you knead it, your dough will come out feeling like bread. That's why when you bake your meat pie dough, you're wondering why it's not flaky even with the butter. The kneading you have done has spoiled it. So after adding in your butter and adding in all your ingredients into your bowl, like as you can see here, I'm going to show you how you are going to mix your dough. You do not need. You add in your water in little bit or milk, whatever you're using, and you get your dough together with the tip of your finger like so. You can see the way I'm doing it. Get your dough with the tip of your finger like so. That's why I advise that you mix in batches, because if you mix a large batch all at once, you have the tendency of kneading your dough because it's too much for you to mix. But if you mix in batches like the way I'm doing, you can see the way I'm mixing them gradually in batches. I'm getting them together. I'm not kneading until my dough, they are all put together. So this is how your meat pie dough should look. It shouldn't look stretchy like your bread dough. Use cold butter and water. If possible, place your dough in the fridge for 30 minutes before you use your dough. See, the issue of using cold water and cold butter cannot be overemphasized if you want to get that flaky dough or that flaky crust for your meat pie recipe. I used to think it does not matter. Even if your butter is not cold, please make sure your water is cold and place it in the fridge after. Like as I said, your dough forms gluten, so placing it in the fridge has a way of reducing the formation of gluten and bringing that flaky texture. So your dough should look like this when you place it in the fridge. It is different. It is so different when you place it in the fridge. In fact, you can feel the flaky texture of your dough even before baking. But when you don't put it in the fridge and you've over mixed and you've kneaded, even if you use the right quantity of butter, your dough will start looking stretchy, which is what you don't want. And when you bake it, of course, you'll be wondering why your pie is looking a little bit like bread instead of like pie. Use the right butter to flour ratio. This is also important. Now we've talked about using cold water, cold butter, and putting your dough in the fridge for at least 30 minutes before mixing. Now for your flour and butter, you must make sure that you use the right quantity. You don't just add any quantity of flour to any quantity of butter. No, there is a rule. The rule is 1:2. Now, if your butter is 1, it means your flour should be 2. So that is it. So if your butter is 1, your flour should be 2. So if you're using 200 grams of butter, you are going for 400 grams of flour. So you multiply the quantity of your butter by 2 to get the quantity of flour you'll be using. I hope you can do the maths. Another tip is make sure your filling is not soggy or too watery. Kai, I hate watery filling for meat pie. It just feels like baby poo. Sorry if that is offensive. I don't know whether you feel like me. I don't like it. See, when you are making your filling, it's an advice. It's not by force. When you're adding water or slurry, as you can see there, please add in little bit. You are not making porridge. You are making meat pie filling. Please, when your pie is too soggy and you place it in your dough, it just sinks into the dough and makes your dough soft, even if it was flaky. After you place it in your dough, it will not be looking firm like the way mine is looking here. Mine is a bit on the middle. It's not so dry, neither is it so watery. It's just okay. So even after baking your dough, your pie, your filling does not drip into your dough, making it soft at the center, but everything will come out intact looking like this. The filling is in there, but you're not seeing it dripping out of the dough. It does not affect the texture or the consistency of the dough. So please don't make your filling too watery. I beg you, I beg you. So that you will not chase your customer. We don't want to put porridge inside our meat pie. It's filling, not porridge. Your meat pie should come out looking like this. Thank you so much for stopping by Debbie's Kitchen. I hope these tips have helped you. Do like, share, and subscribe. And see you in my next one. God bless you.